My name is Bailey Renee Baker, and I'm from Ash Grove originally, but I moved to Buffalo. I had the childhood that I wish upon everyone. My mom and dad were just in love. I didn't really enjoy church all that much, but I grew up thinking that religion was going to church every Sunday and every Sunday night and every Wednesday night. I left uh, church at 17, and when I got a car, and I just hit the gas, and I didn't return. I got into some things in my life that I shouldn't have. I was borrowing confidence from sex, from drugs. And when you start borrowing confidence on things that have no ground to stand on, the interest rate is more than you can ever pay back. And it started really catching up with me. I met my husband, Chris Baker, and we started out the marriage on pain pills, trying to turn that 10-hour day into a 14-hour day. After about 5 years, we were done with pain pills. We'd spent an awful lot of money getting them the wrong way, and we started on Suboxone, which is something the hospitals prescribe you to get off of them. Me and Chris were not doing good, obviously, and I had experimented with methamphetamines on and off throughout the 10 years. So we started doing it. And, our drug dealer told us, they said, this will break you guys apart. I mean, they continued to sell it to us, but this will break you apart. And sure enough, it took a little less than a year, and it did. I got to thinking that I needed rehabilitation. Through my recovery, I went to the emergency room 3 times in about a week. And the last doctor, he was pretty straightforward with me. He said, Bailey, you were on Suboxone and meth. We're not going to be able to give you anything stronger than that. That stuff is manufactured to be the strongest things out there. He said, are you suicidal? And I said, no, sir, I'm not. And he said, well, let's keep it that way. How about I give you a prescription to Suboxone? And I said, no, sir, I don't think I'll go that route. He said, well, there's another route we can go. He said, we can give you some muscle relaxers and some blood pressure medicine, which would kind of act as a downer, to relax you. I said, all right, let's do this. So my mom's house became my rehabilitation center. She was my cheerleader. She always had been. My best friend from high school, he started coming around. Even though we had kept in touch over the phone, he started coming around quite a bit. Growing up, he had a lot of hate in his heart. And when he started coming around again, he just had this smile on his face. And I'm like, what are you smiling about? I just don't understand. And I got to thinking, man, God's got to be real. If he's come into his life like this, he's no longer an alcoholic of 25 years. He just laid it down. God was using him to come into my life to show me that he's real. So I was 6 days clean, and I'm sure you can imagine the last thing I wanted to do was get up and put my Sunday best on to go to church. So when I walked into North Point, I mean, everything from walking into the doors to those greeters, I mean, I felt like I could sit there and lay my life out and have someone help me with it right there at the door. And that's awesome. It was pretty powerful that first time. I woke up one day and I was like, I used to make excuses for not going to church. I'd be like, well, I don't feel very good today, or, the sun's just not shining just right. I don't think it's time for me to go. I wake up now and I'm like, is it time for church yet? Recovery was really hard though. It was really hard. I had been clean for about 8 months. I was really not 100% on board. Rod, my best friend, he kept saying, why don't you go up there and give your life to God? Man, God knows my heart though. You guys are saying God knows exactly what's going on in here. I've become a pretty good liar over the years, and I know I can't lie my way into this one. And I feel him, I do, but I don't know what it is. And I relapsed 8 months later. And I saw my best friend of 25 years, the one person who had never given up on me, look at me with doubt. And he's like, Bailey, I know you're doing something. can't fool me and you can't fool him. And I went in that back room at his house after he went to bed mad at me. And I said, God, you got to take my hands. And he did. And like I said, I didn't change overnight, but it was getting harder and harder for me to pick up that pipe. God showed me that the way I talk to people sober is the best way. Nobody said I was going to have to go through all that, but I'm glad I did. I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad God didn't give me a quick fix on that hospital room. I'm so glad they didn't shove a needle in my arm to numb all that pain. I'm so glad I felt every bit of that. Because now, when I meet somebody going through that, I'll give them a hug. Because they're probably going to need it. I had started coming and they started bringing up baptism, and I was baptized when I was a little girl. So but I knew, I didn't know it, and I'm like, man, I want to be for sure. I want to be right about this. And so I put down on that card and I got up there and I come up out of that water. I was no longer worried about the lights and the people and everything. And my hands just went up. Like I said, things don't change overnight. That night was terrible. And I get to thinking, maybe that's why I just kept building. Is that why I kept pain pills to Suboxone to meth? I just kept looking for something to carry that emptiness. And it was through him the whole time, We're not meant to carry all that stuff, It's like, well, I was doing pain pills, so I might as well start Suboxone. Well, I was doing Suboxone, so I might as well go to something even stronger. I had never had it to him to give. So I just kept building, and I just kept trying the next best thing. And when you find God, there is nothing after that is going to be better. And if you find it, let me know, because I want to be on board with it. You know what I'm saying? But I wake up with that spark and that light, and that is all because of him. I wish I could have felt that when I was little, but I'm glad I do now. It's not too late.